5 tips to banish sugar cravings after 50. Hey, Sophie here. Alright, so the reason why I'm doing this video is because I have a very special private community where a lady asked a question. She said, Sophie, I'm really struggling with sugar cravings, particularly in the evenings. And I thought, great, I'm going to create a video because so many women suffer from these cravings. And so this is my special inner circle community, and I am inviting you to join. This is an amazing community of like-minded women all over the age of 45. We want to live our best, healthiest lives possible. So there's so much going in there. I do live streams, I do giveaways, there's educational videos, everything is going on in this inner circle group. So if you want to join, click on the link in the description box and we'll get you in there right away. All right, so let's get to it. So Kim, from my inner circle community, this is your question. How do I banish those pesky sugar cravings? Number 1 is stop blaming yourself. Blaming yourself is the worst thing that you can possibly do in anything that you're trying to give up or trying to achieve or accomplish that is difficult. When you blame yourself, it leads, I call it it's the cycle of blame, shame, and judgment, and it just shuts the door on any kind of change or growth. It leads to shame. It leads to, oh, I'm a failure. I'm such a bad person. I always fail. I'm weak-willed, or whatever it is. Now, I want you to imagine for a moment that you're speaking to a child, a small child that you love, a small being that you love, and they're trying to do something. Maybe they're even trying not to eat so much candy. So if you were to say to that child, when they had a little wobble or something, or ate too much candy or whatever, you would say you always fail. You can never do this. You don't have any willpower whatsoever, and this has been going on and on and on for years. But what do you think that child is going to do? Is that going to be helpful or harmful to the child? It's going to be very, very harmful. So the first thing that you want to do is start being aware of how you are talking to yourself, and start talking to yourself with love and kindness and curiosity. Curiosity is the key. That's really interesting that you're having a hard time with giving up sugar or with these sugar cravings. That's so interesting. Let's look into it. I want to help you. I want to support you. And so that would be the starting place, is just stop blaming yourself. And the other reason why it's insane to blame yourself for craving sugar is extremely addictive, and it's all around you all the time, and it's so addictive that you can't blame yourself for a substance that is as addictive as drugs. The other reason why, particularly after the age of 45, 50, perimenopause and menopause, and I really had these sugar cravings when I was in perimenopause, why it makes no sense to blame yourself is that it's not your fault. Your physiology has changed, your hormones have changed. When we go into this phase of our life, often we have blood sugar dysregulation, we become more insulin resistant, we are not sleeping very well, a lot of us, or we have interrupted sleep, which leads us to crave sugary, salty, fatty foods. It just does. And on top of that, you've got all the demands of your life and all the chronic stress. So no wonder you get to places in your day when you're like, oh my gosh, I'm just craving this sugar. So stop blaming yourself and come to yourself with kindness, curiosity, and love. Tip number 2 is go cold turkey. Now you might think, wait a minute, you've just said to be kind to myself and everything, but it really isn't being kind to yourself to allow yourself to have cheat days and treat days. It's not kind. Now, the reason is that sugar is so addictive. Now, when I was in my teens and early 20s, I was a smoker. I was addicted to nicotine, and it was very, very hard, obviously, to give it up. But what I learned about this is that if I had allowed myself, when I did this, I always failed. I always went back to smoking. If I allowed myself to go, well, I'm just going to smoke on the weekends, or I'm just going to cut back, or I'm going to allow myself a treat day or a cheat day. Well, I would do that, and then within hours, days or if not hours, I would be back to fully smoking, because what had happened was that I was teasing my brain. So it's the dopamine in your brain, and sugar, when you have sugar, refined sugar is what I'm talking about, because it sets up that dopamine, that dopamine rush, which is like a drug. Okay, so once that's why a lot of women, they can not have sugar for a while, and then they have some, and then they're just triggered and they're right back to where they were before. It is because refined sugar can be incredibly addictive. So my recommendation is just to go cold turkey, draw a line in the sand. And what I did when I was giving up smoking cigarettes, it was like, okay, I'm drawing a line in the sand, I'm going cold turkey, I'm just not doing it anymore. And then when you sort of cross over that line in the sand, you're taking on a different identity, and the identity is, I am a non-smoker, I am super healthy, and I am a non-smoker. Okay? And it's the same in a way with food. The clients that I work with, you draw a line in the sand, and then you're like, okay, I am super, super healthy. I don't eat sugar anymore, no refined sugar. That is not part of my identity, it is not what I do. It is so much easier if you do this. Now, granted, you could have a couple of weeks, 2 or 3 weeks of severe withdrawals. A lot of women do, where they have low energy, nausea, they feel tired, they feel sad, they feel irritated, because your drug is not there anymore. The ice cream, the chocolate, the candy, the whatever muffins, whatever is filled with the sugar sweetened beverages. So you might go through a phase of withdrawal, and that's okay. So come to that with understanding and kindness of love, and know that it will pass. It always passes. Those difficult feelings, those difficult emotions, and those cravings, they will pass, and they will not kill you. But if you get through it and get to the other side, then the miracle happens. Don't give up until the miracle. And the miracle is that you will stop craving. And an even bigger miracle is that the foods that didn't really taste very sweet before, like beautiful fresh fruits, because when I'm talking about sugar, I really am talking about refined sugar. I'm not talking about naturally occurring sugar in the matrix of a food like a fruit. But then things like a date or a prune or beautiful fresh fruit, a blueberry, a strawberry, it's going to taste very, very sweet. But if you keep teasing not only your brain, but your taste buds, then you have something very sweet, then you're going to be like, okay, you're going to pick up a fruit or something that's going to be, oh, well, that didn't taste as good as the very sweet thing, so not loving that. So you just keep this sort of craving cycle in motion. And the final little piece that I want to say in this point here of going cold turkey is what's very useful, and this is what 12-step programs use, for conquering whatever the addiction is to say one day at a time. And this can be incredibly useful to say to yourself, well, if you're really struggling, is to say, I'm not going to have sugar today. I'm allowed it, I can have it, I'm going to maybe have it if I want to, but not for today. Okay? Then you get to the next day, and you say the same thing. And then over time, and can happen very rapidly, 2 to 3 weeks, suddenly you're like, oh my gosh, I've been 3-4 weeks without sugar. I'm feeling amazing. I've got natural energy now. Beautiful, naturally sweet foods taste very, very sweet. It is amazing. Okay, so tip number 3 is eat plenty of complex carbs, because the big mistake I see with a lot of women is that they go on these extreme diets where they give up a whole macro, and very often it's give up carbs. Okay, all carbs, which is kind of like the low protein keto style diet. I do not recommend you do that. You will end up really craving sugar, because you're not giving your body and brain's preferred source of fuel, which is glucose. So you need complex carbs, and you need to have them throughout the day in every single meal to give you a proper release of beautiful natural energy. So complex carbs are going to be your fruits are complex carbs, whole fruits, not a fruit juice, but a whole food, the whole matrix with all the fiber and the water in it. And it can be your plant-based proteins, it can be your beans, it can be your legumes, it can be your whole grains, it can be your sweet potatoes. I always have tons and tons and tons of sweet potatoes in my home, beautiful complex carb. So it's very, very important that you have your complex carbs, because otherwise it's very likely you're going to crave sugar. It's a big mistake I see a lot of women making. Okay, tip number 4 is the 3 F's. Feel, find, feed. Feel, find, feed. Just remember it, write it down. Feel, find, feed. And what this means is that very often when you're craving sugar, it's because you are feeling emotionally stressed. Something is going on. You're either very tired, you're lonely, you're angry, you're sad, you're overwhelmed, you're irritated, you've had a fight with somebody. Something happens where you are emotionally stressed. And when you're emotionally stressed, you very often will reach for something to numb that pain. A dopamine hit, which can be sugar. It can be a lot of other things, but we're talking about sugar here. So just think about some of the reward systems that you might have set up in the past. Like, I'm really sad or angry and I go eat ice cream. I'm really sad and angry and now I just going to that candy drawer, or going to, or I'm bored at work. I'm just sitting here bored and I'm just going for the M&Ms or whatever it is. And so we've set up these reward systems. We think it's a reward, but it's actually not a reward. But all through our life, we're like, I'm feeling this feeling, I reach for this thing because it's the reward that I set up. But actually think about it, it's not a reward because it makes you feel worse, not better. So I always say to my clients, we're looking for a bigger, juicier reward. What is something better? What is something better, meaning it's going to make you feel amazing when you are emotionally stressed, not worse. And this is very important. This is a very deep topic, and I could do many different YouTube videos on this, and I'm going quite quickly because I don't want to make this video too long. But just to take you through the process, let's just say you're emotionally stressed and start identifying when you're emotionally stressed. Okay, I am experiencing whatever it is, sadness now, I'm experiencing anger, loneliness, overwhelm, whatever it might be. Start by identifying it. Try and pause and identify, maybe breathe into it. I'm feeling this. And feel. You've got to feel the feels. I say feel the feels, just stay with the feeling until the water runs clear. Okay, you've got to let off steam. You've got to acknowledge, validate that feeling. It's so incredibly important. Okay, so just stop, because then you put a little pause, a little wedge in between. I'm going to reach for that thing to make me feel better. It's actually going to make you feel worse, right? So feel the feels. Second is you are going to find something different. Find something different to really find what you really need, what you really, really want. What do I really, really need in this moment? I need to find what I really need. And what you might need in that moment is just to have a venting conversation with somebody. You might need to reach out to a friend. You may need to go for a walk. You may need to move your body. You may need to sleep if you're exhausted. You may need to journal. You may need to have a hot bath or a hot shower. You may need to have a beautiful bowl of nourishing food. But the real key is find what you really, really need, okay? And then the feed is feed yourself with that. Feed yourself. Another way is nourish. Nourish yourself with what you really need. I have my clients make an enormous menu of things that they can feed themselves with that isn't necessarily food and certainly isn't sugar. Okay, tip number 5 is know your danger zones. Because, and this is a little bit of the same thing from the last, tip, but just know your danger places for you. So, as my lovely Kim asked me, which triggered this video, she said it's at night. And I think for a lot of women it is at night. When we're tired, we're burned out, we don't have so much willpower at night. And it's the end of the day, and very often your danger zone might be just feeling stressed. It might be that you are sitting watching TV or sitting on your phone and you're just burned out, and that's when you start, or you might be bored or you might be lonely, but very often the danger zone is at night. So once you know that that's your danger zone, or your danger zone could be at work. I mean, it's going to be different for everybody, but know what your danger zone is, identify it, leave me a comment below saying, this is my danger zone, and then make a plan. Be prepared for that danger zone. Know, okay, because if you just wing it, then you'll never, you've got to be prepared. I always say to not prepare is to prepare to fail. So you need to have a plan in place. Maybe you need to have things in your fridge, on your counter, that are really beautiful, healthy foods that you can have instead. Maybe you just need to have a plan of action. I talked about the menu in the other step of things to do. And so this is just so incredibly important. So what I have created for you is a little cheat sheet and foods and beverages to banish those sugar cravings. And these are some of the things that you want to have either in your glove compartment of your car, in your fridge, in your pantry, in your freezer, and beverages as well that might really help you through that danger zone, whether it is at work or whether it's in the evening. So I've created this special cheat sheet for you, and you're going to find this cheat sheet in my Inner Circle community. Okay, so it is posted there, so even more incentive to join my private Inner Circle school community. Link is below, and as soon as you get in, you will see in the classroom section, you will see that cheat sheet that I have created for you, and you want to print it, download it, and literally have it on your fridge so that you can start training yourself to have all these beautiful alternatives. All right, this video is over and out. I've gone long enough. I hope you found it helpful. As you can see, giving up sugar isn't as easy as just, hey, I'm just going to give up sugar. We've all tried that many times before, haven't we? This is the week that I'm going to give up sugar and carbs and eat tons of protein and exercise. We get in that cycle, and then 2 weeks later you fall off the wagon, and the whole cycle goes over and over, and it's very discouraging. But again, it's not your fault, so stop blaming yourself, and you need a deeper strategy that really truly addresses the deeper root issues, which almost all the time is, your emotional stress. All right, subscribe, and I'll see you next time.